Hello, darlings. I've been offline for a while. I got really sick in early September and I just needed a break. Today, there was a bunch of calls to me asking had I been keeping up with the news about what's happening with Palestine and Israel, and it just, I took some time, got online, and got caught up with everything that's been going on, and I realized there's a lot of talking and not a lot or enough education. So I want to encourage everyone that it's okay to not say something if you don't necessarily know what you're talking about for sure, and you can support innocent lives without supporting the oppressive faction. And what I mean by this is it's time to free Palestine. It's awful what Hamas did to Israel. It's awful. There's no way around that. There's no time where innocent lives should be destroyed for someone else's ego, opinion, religious views, whatever you want to call it. There is no excuse. But if you are condemning the lives of innocent Palestinians over Hamas's behavior, that's no different than you blaming, for instance, all Germans for what the Nazis did, or anything like that. It's still an extremist view, and extremism is the problem at the core of all of this. And while, again, I have not been online, so I've not been seeing what exactly is happening outside of the few hours I spent researching today, I know my history. I know my history really well. And it's to the point where my perception is Hamas is using the Palestinians as scapegoat shields to attack Israelis, and the Israeli government is using the actions of Hamas to essentially hurt the Palestinian people and to further that control and opposition. Now, I understand in the early 2000s they allegedly retreated from Gaza area, but we have to remember that Gaza is not like its own little thing. It's literally a tiny piece of land. It's like, if you will, Long Island City being packed with people, and then you're telling all these people, oh, we don't want to hurt you. Just go over here to the edge, closer to New Jersey, and then when they do go over there, you bomb that area too. You see how that doesn't make sense? It's kind of like when the American Civil War happened and it said, oh yeah, all the black people need to move here, and then all the black people need to have their own thing and build their own thing. And then when they did that, bombs. We're not going to go down that road right now, but you guys get the point. I think it's important to be humane, and if you don't know what to say, it's okay to be silent. It is. And if you are not going to be silent, I think you should listen more than you hear so you can understand the entire scope. I don't believe that there is a side that should be chosen. That is my personal belief. I have Israeli friends, I have tons of Jewish friends, and I have tons of Palestinian friends. People that I work with, people that I absolutely adore, and I have loved ones, people that they may not be blood relatives to me, but they're people I care about in both areas. And it would be wrong, habitually wrong, to, oh, well, we're gonna not say free Palestine because of what Hamas did to the Israelis, because innocent lives were attacked by extremists. Hamas doesn't represent all Palestinians. Like, they just don't. So we're not going to continue down this road of Islamophobia. We're not going to continue down this road of extreme Zionist behavior because it's wrong. It's just, there's no other way around it. It's wrong. So my heart goes out to all those affected, and I'm going to say something that's going to be interesting. I feel like, because a lot of people are saying, well, why isn't enough happening? The reality is that you have a Muslim people of color community essentially being wiped out. And someone brought up the fact of how quick support came for Ukraine. And I said, well, at the same time the Russian-Ukraine war started, there were other wars in places of color that did not get that same, that support, and this is the norm. I do feel that the UN, the American government, French government, UK government, like all can step up and do a lot more. I do understand that there's movement these past couple of days, and that it does take time to put these things in place. But it's not short on me that the reason why we're not seeing a lot of the news on the news is because of the reality of the situation. So I say that to encourage you to listen, form your own opinions rather than regurgitate whatever someone else is saying, and be kind. You don't have to agree, but not everything needs to be said, especially out loud. It's not a time to keep choosing sides. Innocent lives are being heavily affected all over the world, and we are in a very tumultuous time in society. There's no other way to word that. And I did hear and read about the call for action in America today. And may I just say, as someone who's lived most of a good chunk of her life in America, don't fuck around and find out. Like, I know there are states that have anti-protection, we'll call it that. But there are people with toys in those states still. And it's not going to be this thing where you just walk in and take over. It will cause more chaos for the person causing it than not. And I think that's the best way I can say that. Especially with our generation, because a lot of us are depressed. We don't have health care. We're working almost 24 hours. Please don't trigger the unhingedness of millennials and our position of being fed up with all the chaos in the world over the last, let's just call it 10 years. Because that's exactly what would happen. If something were to randomly strike up and happen here, it would be in huge, chaotic, what did we just do? Because you just release all of our trauma and now we're aiming it at you. So don't do that. But let's be, jokes aside, come on guys. Let's be respectful of others' experiences and the lives that are being lost. I am going back offline, and I will see you guys when I return.